Hello guys, I'm here today to present you my Gallish equipment. This gear is something that I've used for quite some times during my work, as I work in different places, castles and museums. I worked for a long time in the museum in Alésia, in French Burgundy. Months after months, year after year, I've increased the quality of my gear. I've added some new stuff, some regarding the clothes, having different clothes, and also some little accessories and part of my gear in order to have something that I will be proud about, and also in which I will feel good as well, and that will of course fit the era, fit the kind of character you could have found at this moment. I have different trousers, tunics, and I won't show you everything because basically it's the same design. It's just that the color of the fabric change every time. You will get the idea with everything here. I have beneath everything a tunic which is made out of linen, and it's beneath everything there, all the layers. And this tunic is quite long as well, going up to, well, a bit beneath my butt, I guess. And over that, I then add a trouser. I did think about wasting as less as possible fabric during the process, of course, because fabric was very expensive and long to produce at the moment. Then, also you have to think about the details on the kind of fabric here. For this kind of fabric, of course, we have some artifact to testify what kind of fabric they add. We are very lucky regarding fabrics because there is fabrics that came to us through the salt mine in Austria, if I remember correctly. And there is some of the pieces of fabric that have been found by archaeologists there in the mines, with also other artifacts and even laser artifacts. The kind of fabric is what we call in France a serge, because of the way it have been woven together. And this kind of fabric is what I took for all the wool, the checked wool that I have on me. Could be for the long tunic, the shorter tunic, or there for the trouser. I choose to have this kind of of colors there because apparently Gauls liked very much to mix-match colors and to have some nice colors, not something which could be sober and no. This is why I have like a mix of yellow, red and green. The fabric here have the same kind of weaving. There's a lot of colors there mixed together in order to make that checked look that apparently was very much loved by the Gauls, and the artifact also testify of this fact. Over here I have a tunic which is more grey, brown mixed together in a checked fabric as well, still the same kind of weaving. This one is a bit stronger, a bit thicker, and this is why I choose to have this, because of the color and because of the kind of fabric you have here, because it's one of the most resistant I have, to have it beneath the chainmail there, because the chainmail of course will leave part of the rust, part of the grease that is on it, on your fabric, on your clothes. This is why I have this cloth that is longer than the chainmail, in order to preserve as much as possible the fabric beneath from the chainmail. So I have something like 4 layers of fabric. And this chainmail is something that could have been found during the antiquity for the Gauls. You have a simple pattern, very simple. There, it's just a big rectangle, and you have also this part here, the part that are on there. The shoulder are very typical from the Gauls. This part here is just attached at the back, and at the front the shape here, it's just not with two leather thread, and this holds quite well. Of course, it could be better.
Life is good, but it can be better.
Because this chainmail, well, regarding first the attachment, it's very poor, and just the pieces of leather is not what we found most of the time. We see most of the time some pieces of metal and also pieces of brass which were decorated. One thing also is that this chainmail ain't riveted. It's just a simple chainmail with the ring open, which means that this one will break easily. The chainmail is mostly here in order to protect you from cuts. There is and stabbing as well, but most of the time it's especially to prevent cuts. We don't have much weapon that will inflict then a lot of damage like a warmer will do or poleaxe will do later on in the Middle Ages. So here you have mostly spears, swords, gladius, and especially because, well, Gauls most of the time did fought Gauls most of the time. We most oftenly think about Gauls fighting Romans, but most of the time they did fight each other. So the chainmail have been developed to counter what is the main weapon for Gallish warrior, and especially some noblemen or professional warrior, someone of kinda high status. These kind of guys will have a sword. The sword could be short, it could be very long, very, very long. Those swords were very light because it's very thin. It was very thin and very flexible as well, because we know also that from the record as well as from the artifacts. The chainmail here is mostly to prevent from those cuts because of the blade. When you try to hit too hard with a Gallish blade, it will just bend. So it's mostly to slash, to cut. If you hit something too hard with a heavy blow and heavy thrust, it could just bend the sword, and when it's bent, well, you just have to get behind the front line and bend it back, just like Caesar recalled in his writings. And this chainmail would do quite fine. Of course, there is better. So, well, this is something you see with big holes there, because when you use it, well, it breaks. And break far too much. I took some time to repair this one before the video, and there was holes there, in a lot of places. That's the problem when you have a chainmail which ain't riveted, and it's actually the only chainmail that I own which ain't riveted. All the other part of chainmail that I have are riveted because I hate this kind of chainmail, because it's a pain in the, well, in the armpit. It's a pain in the armpit because it breaks every time. This hat here made out of wool, and we have here a helmet that is the Rouen helmet that have been found in the forest in Rouen, which is in the western part of France. This helmet have been made by Pavel Marek based on what I asked from him, and I'll have to add something to that helmet which would be there, a decoration, something like a ponytail made out of real ponytail or horse hair, some horse hair there, in order to decorate the helmet with something that could match once more the kind of character you could have found, the kind of designs and decoration. So this would have been better with that. So this is something I could do in the future, and I wish to do that. On this helmet, something interesting, the paragnatids there on the side. Inside there is, as you will see, different straps in order to wear it. We don't know for the straps, it's just my interpretation, because I know that a helmet could be a bother if you don't strap it well. And I just try to interpret something that could have been made at the era. Something that was practical and not something too fancy and modern in design. Paragnatids, the cheek guard there, won't come on my ear there on each side, because most of the time when you buy a helmet, it just comes there on the ear, which won't help you at all, never. The cheek guard have this kind of design for one thing, because it have to cover the cheek, not the ear. So once you have the helmet on, you have there first strap. This strap there is attached on each side there, and there is two straps, one thread made out of leather passing in the straps. Of course the knots are on the outside, not on the side of my jaw, in order to be more comfortable. The helmet will hold quite well. And you see now what is the problem? The problem is the cheek guard. The cheek guard are moving, so here comes another things. There you have two pieces of leather there helping to knot it, and you fix the cheek guards, and now they are fixed. Nothing is moving anymore, so I'm good, and I can still hear quite well. You see also, because of the shape of the helmet, I have also something quite protective for the sun, which is very important when you are walking like me in full gear under the sun. Yeah, I've just bought at the time a big hat made of steel. Well, yes, actually, it was mostly for that, because I don't fight with this kind of thing. I have my face exposed. This was quite practical for that, for the sun and the moon, but at the time this was very practical for fighting, for actual fighting, because this kind of brim there and very large there at the neck help for what I explained before, for the sword fight, when you are fighting with someone using a sword, and also it will help for other things, but this will help a lot for that, and help to deflect the it on the sides, and perhaps after come on the shoulder, and the shoulder are 2 layers there. They have 2 layers of chainmail, so you are quite protected there. The cheek guards, of course, there is padding in it. I glued some padding in the cheek guards. Padding is made out of linen with wool inside. The design here, the design is very nice, because it follows my chin there, the cheekbone, and opens there on the top, where you have to see, because I see very well around me there. I can hear quite well and see also very well around me because of that, and I can breathe easily. You don't hear any problem for me breathing and also speaking with you, because of the design of the helmet. That way you can hear what's happening on the sides when you are fighting. You can see also what's happening on every side in front of you as much as possible. You can breathe as well, and you can speak too. And all those things are quite important sometimes when you are fighting, especially in a group. In addition to that, I have several little things to add. A pair of gloves. Those gloves are made out of leather. Well, you see some are a bit tired. Well, I've used them for 5 years. These kind of gloves could be found on some depiction of warrior nearby Avignon in the southeast of France. The shield was the main weapon for most of the civilizations during the antiquity. That's something which was very important as well during the Middle Ages and in many places, not only in Europe. This shield, if you want to produce one like this, I made a tutorial that you can find on my channel. The shield here is based on historical design, which could be seen, those ones in the south of France again, in the southeast again. It's in the Arc de Triomphe from the city of Orange. On this arc you have several depictions of Celt shields, and those shields, well, have this kind of designs, and you can see the painting there. At the center above, the rivets here are not only to fix the box on the shield, but also to fix the grip here. The grip is made out of 2mm steel. You don't see a very thick grip for what I recall in museums, for what I saw for the Gallish Carolingian or Merovingian. It wasn't something like a thick and huge piece of iron, it was something quite thin. And so even during the Middle Ages, the buckler, you have some made out of wood and steel, and the steel is thin as well. Here it's something thin with a piece of wood there, as you will see in the tutorial, and the piece of wood is wrapped there with leather in order to have a better grip. Well, I prefer to have the grip like that, and in order to protect also my hand, I glued there leather in order once again to protect the hand and have something much more comfortable to use, with the border made out of rawhide that have been sewed. As you can see, the shield itself is made out of plywood, flat plywood, yes, I have to admit. There is other way to produce shields. This is one of the easiest nowadays, but there is very interesting things when you can just make a shield from a single piece of wood, as it would have been made sometimes. The balance there helps you to use the shield to protect yourself, as a shield that would be very active, very much active, because you won't always keep the shield close to your body like that. You can sometimes, yes, but you will also push it much more forward. Could be with the whole arm length, you see, it's vertical, so you can push it like that, a bit, or completely, a bit, and change like that. This kind of movement will be very efficient in order to hide yourself from your opponent, because when you are like that, you can perhaps move. You won't move much the shield, but you will move your body. See, I'm moving a lot my legs, my body, but I try to keep the shield at the same position. So when you're like that, coming there, 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 and that being the dynamic in a fight. And also by pushing forward the shield, you increase the protection, because here you can see my face, you can see my face. Less protection, more protection, because you push it forward. So the shield could be used like that, and also you can perhaps hit with the bottom part, but it's not how it has been designed. And as it hasn't been designed to fall back on your shoulder, if you want to hit like that, you have to use much more strength and stress much more your arm and elbow and shoulder and wrist and everything. And also by fighting like that, the lower part of the body could be exposed, so you have to, I do think that most of the time you have to switch position simply and just don't get stuck in one position. Of course, this could be very tiresome. This requires to have a lot of strength on the shoulder, on your shoulder, the left shoulder, and also to have something that could be quite dynamic as well. It's not like brute force, brute strength, but something that will be able to be dynamic there. So not only you have to be good with the right hand, but also with the left hand. It's very important. This kind of shield there will be matched with some other weapons. So I don't have a sword yet, perhaps in the future I'll have a sword, a Gallish sword, perhaps, why not? This spear, well, is based on what I could have seen in museum as an artifact, both for the head, the spear head there, and the butt there, the butt cap. In museums, I don't see a butt cap that big. It's just something that would have matched what I've tried here, which is to have at the top here a thinner spear, a thinner wood there, and a thicker part there at the bottom, in order to remove most of the weight from the wood at the back, in order to balance the spear in a better way. And for what we know during the antiquity, the spear there were thinner at the head and also at the back. So the diameter here is perhaps about 2 centimeters there, and there is 3 centimeters there. I guess it's something like that. 2 centimeters at the head and 3 there at the butt, which make a balance just there.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
And for spear which have a butt which ain't that heavy, and with a spear head which is that long, it's quite well. It's quite good. So I have a good balance there. I can, without much problem, be using the spear there, protected by the shield. You can always keep your hand beside the shield forward, moving around it. And switching there, you can easily remember also that the brim here could help to hide your face behind the shield here. Well, when you need it, if you can't exactly parry something coming at you by just pushing forward, I don't know, there is sometimes that kind of possibilities. Well, the good thing with the brim in that, you see, the shield will never crush your face directly if you use the brim correctly as well. But most of the time I would just recommend you to push forward the shield in order to protect yourself. So use your shield in front of you in order to protect when you need. When you see something coming, just do that. And well, if you need to, well, the brim could be helpful, yes. And that way you can protect the face. Of course, there is possibilities for me to increase the quality of my gear and to increase as well the status of the character I represent. But that will be perhaps for the next video, for the future, in order to bring some news. In the future you will have also other videos regarding characters coming from different eras like this, perhaps a Roman character, perhaps a legionary, perhaps 13th century. I'll do something about the 13th century, yes. Also regarding the 15th century, be sure of that, so the 2 eras. And if you are interested as well, I'll continue to work on other characters which will be in historical eras, but inspired by very famous characters that you can see in some Disney's movie or mythology. So you will have already Hercules, Heracles, and you will have in the future some characters coming from Notre Dame de Paris, like Phoebus, or perhaps also Robin Hood. That's a good example as well. And if you are interested in kit review, I have already a lot regarding the Middle Earth. There is plenty of civilization that I covered already, and I will continue in the fantasy side as well with Warhammer in the future, as well as I'll do the same for Warcraft. Don't forget to subscribe, to like and to share the video, and come back anytime. I hope you enjoyed, and I wish you a great day, guys. See you!